Get it. Oh, I know. I want to know how many people watch our podcast, but I still like to dance like nobody's watching.
Right? Right?
Yes.
Did I see a new fishing move in there?
You,
Like, did I
did it catch you? Did it? Did it catch your attention? I love
you
being
know,
funny.
fishing moves always catch my attention. I am hooked on them.
But on bump, right? Women connected in jokes coming
Right?
2024,
Here
right?
we go. Here we
Whew.
go. How are you, my
Mm.
friend?
I am, ooh, great. I'm great. I was gonna say celebrating. I'm great celebrating, and as always, I'm thinking about holding both the grief and gratitude.
Whew,
Yeah,
right? I was talking to my friend and colleague, Cynthia Wynn Henry, who is the co founder of Interplay. And we
yeah.
were talking about that language about holding, because, I use
Mm.
that language a lot. And one of the things that she talks about, which I think I'm going to start shifting that language,
Okay.
is that we don't need to hold it. We need to let the forms and our modalities hold it. So it's not in our body,
What do you mean
right?
forms and modalities?
Well, when you think about interplay forms like
Okay.
storytelling or music or voice,
Okay.
or if it was therapy, or if it was something else like another modality that you were using to
Right.
hold the grief and the gratitude,
Mm.
that our bodies don't need to hold it. The
I like that.
form or what we're using can hold it. But it's just a very nuanced way of being like, yeah, let's don't let that in as much
Yeah.
sometimes,
Yeah.
because we know that when some of that stuff can get stuck. I mean,
Mm.
we even
Let's
look
have
at
that
this week,
conversation. Yeah.
right? Yeah. Should we do our intro before we dive in and have the
Yes.
conversation?
Let's do
All
that.
right,
Let's
let's
do
do it.
it. Okay,
Let's do it.
ladies. I am Shannon Mitchell, a Black millennial entrepreneur and author, the founder of Shalo Glow, an all natural handmade personal products company that helps people glow from head to toe. I am your champion for self care, business care, and intentional wellness.
Hi, y'all. I'm Christine Gotro, a white social justice advocate, an international speaker, coach, Amazon bestselling author with my friend Shannon and 17 others, and a dancing social worker who helps you upgrade your self and community care.
Yes, together we are a podcast rooted in the 8 dimensions of wellness and co founders of the Women Connected in Wisdom community.
And we like to get together every week to have intentional conversations about how to be wise in business and relationships and wellness. Like, how do we do this? How do we do this in the midst
Whew.
of the world, right?
Yeah. And I was listening back to the podcast. I've been working on listening to my speeches and my different opportunities I have to speak in front of people. And I feel like I always make that sound like, whew, how do we do it? Because it's a lot. And when I think about occupational wellness and what I was talking about, that's what I want. I wonder how I would say my modality instead of me holding it. What else would I say? We could talk about that too. But especially in Black History Month, I've been noticing the stories and the information that I'm getting, right? Last year, I said, you know what? Black History Month is going to be a month where I take the opportunity to do something scary, learn something that might be a lot of information, but I can um, find out what happened, and process how I feel about that. But now I'm more educated and have more information um, to work off of and know how to base my life, right? Because in order to know where we're going, we have to know where we came from. And this year, it's been heavier, and not because anything new is happening, but just because of the timing of the stories. When I think about both Black history and women's history, because women's history month is next month. So, of course, I'm thinking about both categories being a Black woman, right? And I still see so much opportunity for us to be better. We talked about, you know, a young student at Kennesaw State who was attacked by some other students from the school, right? A Black young man that was attacked by two white men, and that was the first day of Black History Month this month. So I said, okay, of course I'm
Mm,
celebrating, but also mourning the situation that's
the
going on.
reality,
Yeah,
right?
and then
Yeah.
I'm watching Netflix and we're talking about. the Playboy Mansion and all this stuff. And I'm like, here go these ladies, right? Who are working on what we're working on, financial wellness, occupational wellness, like we're talking about today, right? Which is why I'm bringing both of these groups together. And, the ladies, they wanted their living expenses paid and $1,000 a week is what they got, and kept them in this situation. And that's always what I look at movies and stuff, right? What's this crazy situation in this movie, and how much money do they get?
Mhm.
25,000, 50. It's, when you look at it, it's not a lot of money that they're looking for, right? And so I think about just the different situations that we've been in as Black people, as women, and what we get to do now, exponentiating the wellness and teaching people how to keep themselves in healthy situations and still get what they need. I love that we get to do that in the midst of everything that is going on.
Right? I agree. And what bubbles up for me when you say that, Shannon, I was flying yesterday from Oakland to Boulder, and we had this phenomenal flight attendant. Like her energy when you came on, and and we had a wind delay out of Oakland, and she made the comment because one of the other customers was saying, "Hey, you probably have some really grumpy customers coming because they're not happy with this delay." And she's like, "Well, we're not allowing that energy in here. It's all love up in here. And, I'm standing here in a good mood and I don't get paid for this." And we were like, "What do you mean you don't get paid for this? Did you know on every airline except one, flight attendants do not get paid until they back away from the gate?" So that part, like when they're coming on to the plane and
Mhm.
they're greeting you and helping you get your seat, they're not getting paid for any of that.
I
It
don't
made me
think I
think
knew
about
that.
that. When you said, How much are they getting paid and why are they in this situation?" Like, I was like,
Yep.
"Whoo, that doesn't seem right." So,
Hmm.
and it's mostly a female, there are male flight attendants or people that don't identify as women, but it's mostly a
Right.
female industry and that
Right.
unpaid labor.
And that's what we're talking about, right? So today we're talking about occupational wellness, and we're going to our definition and inviting our guest up in a moment. But when we talk about women and the situations that we find ourselves in order to maintain our occupational wellness, and that's the question, right? How do you maintain your occupational wellness, and what is that environment like? And do you have what you need out of that environment? So I think it's a good time to do the definition. Are you ready for the definition?
Let's do it.
Okay, perfect. Occupational wellness represents living in the purpose, passion, and productivity in one's chosen profession. This includes work life balance, as a fulfilling and productive professional life is fitting to weave together with a healthy personal life. And when I think about it, I was talking to one of our Amazon bestselling authors this week, and she was asking me about all the different projects I have, right? And um, weighing it. Sometimes your support system will be like, "Do you really need to do this right now? How do you prioritize your time?" Or it'll make you question that, as we should, right? How are we organizing the tasks that we're doing? But I told her, I said, I genuinely feel like everything that I'm doing is in my purpose. Shalo Glow, helping people get back into their bodies and heal yourself and call your energy back from all the tasks that we do on a daily basis, and helping you rest, like we were talking about at Agnes Scott. And then Women Connected in Wisdom and Connected in Wisdom Press. Our guest today is amazing. The way we got connected is crazy. And I hope that she's able to help a lot of people. She does different things that we don't do. And so just being able to see how we can connect and increase the wellness, I've really loved my job. I love the commutes and the things that I get to pass. And it's funny, including my old jobs. And I'm like, yes, I get to keep going and go, chase my purpose and live my life to the fullest. So I've been enjoying that.
Right? I'm with you. I feel so lucky. Right? And sometimes people are like, "Oh, well, you love your work or your work is play or you get paid to play," which
Mm,
all those things are true, right?
yeah.
And part of that is because being really intentional, like at
Mhm.
manifesting Mondays, us writing out the things we wanted, us naming it in community. And
Yes.
our guest today is going to talk about ways to win, and
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what she recommends.
Me
And I
too.
just know from my own stuff, like, that if you don't like where you're at, like, yo, my first full-time job was working at a car wash. I mean,
Mm.
it was
I
hard
didn't know
work.
that.
You didn't know that? It's where I met
Mm-mm.
Joe. It's where
Oh,
I met my
really?
husband. Oh, yeah. He was my
Mm.
boss for 6 months. And then he says, and then we dated and got married and things
I hear
changed.
you. We gotta have that conversation. Not right now. Occupational wellness, yes.
Right? We always
Yeah,
say we met at a car wash and people think, "Oh,
I
we were
love
getting our
that.
car wash." No, we worked there,
Yeah,
right? And,
yeah,
which is fun because we get to sing the "Working at the Car Wash" song,
yeah.
and,
I love
um, and
that.
the car
Yeah.
wash was titled Oasis, so in Texas, in Nacogdoches, Texas. So we also get to sing the "Friends in Low Places," song by Garth Brooks with
Mm,
because it talks about the oasis,
I love that.
and in the
I gotta
song, he's
listen to
talking
it.
about a bar, but,
Got you.
we talk about it as our car wash, so
Shout out to Joe.
shout out to
Yes,
Joe, one of the
yes.
men behind Women Connected in Wisdom,
And that's
so
important, like, as a kitchen manager, if I'm working in a restaurant, it doesn't matter how attractive you are. If you don't use your downtime effectively, I gotta beg you to work. "Sir, next." It's not cute.
right?
Guest says yes, okay? We have 3 people nodding yes. So, yes, I'm excited
Right.
to talk about it, but I love you guys, and I'm excited, um,
Well, I think we
to
bring our
talk
guest up
about
here to talk
winning.
more about jobs, and,
Yes.
that was my first job. What was your first job before we bring her up here?
Ooh, first job, Quiznos. Quiznos, 4 hours a week. So I was being paid minimum wage with minimum hours. But it was a good stepping stone, and I appreciate it.
Okay.
So you gotta start somewhere. And yeah, really, I was working with my dad because he had his own business. So it
Yeah.
depends on how you talk
I was
about
gonna
it.
say
But
going
first official
backwards.
check, exactly.
Yeah.
First official check,
Babysitting.
Quiznos. Yeah, yeah,
I
I
was
babysat.
babysitting before I did anything else,
Yeah.
and back then, which, we're different generations, so,
Yes.
back then, it was $1 an hour for
Ooh.
babysitting, and we thought we were making good money.
Sounds like child cruelty.
And we started babysitting I mean, we were young when we started babysitting. Like,
Mhm.
we were probably 12, maybe
And
10.
actually, this is the thing, because in Rich Dad Poor Dad, he talks about not working for money, right? So maybe not child cruelty, maybe it's a thing, and that's spurred some of your entrepreneurial
Right?
fires, you know? Um, But yeah, I love listening to the different stories and the different places where you didn't expect a car wash to be where you met your husband,
No.
but working
Yeah,
hard, that'll get
right?
you where you want to go. And again, to tie the point with the race and the all the stuff I said earlier, again, that's why I love what we do because we know if we went back 200 years, okay, we would not be publishers, authors, Amazon best-selling authors, us and how many other people? 16 other authors, talking about
Girl,
wellness
we
and
don't
how
even have to go back 200
we don't.
years,
That's the point.
right? It
Yes.
was what year was it that women were allowed to get credit cards without their
Was it
husband's signature?
73? What
It
was it?
was it was
70
within our life
something.
it was within my lifetime.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Yeah, and
sure.
that's what we were talking about with the this week with one of the authors is it hasn't been that long. We
Mhm.
talked about the overwhelm of all the opportunities and all the things we have on our plate, right? And that's part of the learning curve. So when you get there, just know that it's not you being weak or you not being able to handle it. That's part of you learning, right? But as women and women in business, it's also the reality that it hasn't been this long that have been doing that we would have had the opportunity to be doing this where we're doing it from, so that's expected, and that is definitely going to be part of it. And how do we do it for ourselves and maintain our wellness, and then how do we do it together, because working together will help exponentiate it.
Right? Well, I am so excited for our conversation today
Me
about
too.
occupational wellness. You ready to bring our guest up and say
Yes, let's
hello?
do it. Yes.
All right, let's do it, y'all. Our guest today is a wife, mom, author, podcaster, heavy in her Bible. She believes in self care, love, teaching, and mentoring, and inspiring others to go after the life they really want. So, we
Mhm.
want to welcome to our stage today Taika Jackson Noble.
Hey guys.
Welcome!
Hey,
Hey,
it's so good to see you
Welcome!
guys. It feels like forever since I last talked to you
it
all.
always feels that way. Yes, no,
Right?
definitely. I always feel like we got to see each other more often, we got to talk more often, and I love that. That's the energy.
Absolutely. So I
Yes.
love what you guys were just talking about. I was sitting there thinking, I was like, my first job was at the movie theaters because I just
Ooh.
knew I was going to be like this super mega star.
Yeah, I think you are. I think you still are. We could talk about it. Look at the glasses. You're ready, okay?
I love
Absolutely.
that though.
Yes.
Like you started out with your vision and your dream.
That makes me I
Ooh.
love butter
Absolutely.
popcorn. When I think about the movies, I think about butter popcorn and slushies.
I've gotten enough of it
Yeah,
to
you
learn
said
about
I'm over it. And I wanted to ask you too, before we go deep in the conversation, because
Yeah.
Christine and I are always intentional about saying people's names. You know, is it Takia? Is it Ty? Can you remind me of the
Oh yeah, it's
pronunciation of it?
Takia.
Takia?
Takia.
Takia,
Okay,
and I butchered it. I apologize,
Oh
Takia.
no,
I
you're
got you,
you're
Christine.
okay. I promise you, this is not the first. I hear Takia, Takia, and Takia.
Hmm.
So
Got you, but it's Takia.
yes.
Got it. Okay. Well, welcome to the show. Would you mind telling our listeners a little more about you and which dimension you feel like really speaks to, or excuse me, we're talking about occupational wellness and how what you're doing ties into occupational wellness.
Well, I am a Christian business owner, and I am an author, obviously a podcaster, guys. And I've stepped into, what I was called to do within the past 7 years. I mean, I started building something on the side while I was still at work. While it was pre-pandemic, all of that. My husband is a serial entrepreneur, so he was already doing these kind of things, and so I naturally he fired something else up in me to like kind of go back and revisit some of those old goals and dreams and things that I had. And so yeah, I stepped into entrepreneurship about 7 years ago and haven't really looked back. And even more so in this past year, I've been doing some real deep dive and making sure that I've really intentional about, the mission and the vision that I'm seeing, that I feel like the Lord has called me to help these women to really step into gear, really live authentically in who they're supposed to be and not what people in society has told them. So that's a
Absolutely.
little bit.
Yeah, and just like Christina and I were just talking about the partners, like shout out to the guys, you know, being intentional and supporting us in order to do what we do. That's actually how we got connected, right? Was your husband. And I was at
Absolutely.
Papado checking on my guests, and checking on my guests changed my life, right? And what I appreciated about him is that he did not hit on me. He was respectful of his wife. We're talking about business. It was on his shirt, and that's what it was. Okay,
Mhm.
he's doing business, that's why he's out, and when he's not here, he's living his life with his wife. And so to be able to be like, yeah, and connect for his wife out of town, I was like, that's what we're talking about, you know, because we're not just connected through women, we're connected through everybody in our life. So I would love for you to talk more about your business and more about the 5 keys to winning.
Okay, so I what I do a lot of coaching. I do some brand strategy around helping women that are new to business, that's wanting to start business. Really do some brand strategy around what building out that vision, building out that business, and what that looks like. And then I also do some business coaching as well. So I'm around women all the time, and I hear the common things that people like women kind of deal with. And it's, I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to do, how I'm supposed to move in life. And so what and usually this is what I've been talking about heavily even on my podcast, even this past week, is kind of having an idea, that roadmap on how you're going to really step into purpose, how you're going to be purposeful in this season. And so what I tell people is I did a lot of self-evaluation. I'm big on self-evaluation. I need to know where I'm starting at. I need to know and be honest about where I'm starting at, because you don't want to fluff your own self. I told people this just recently. If anybody is going to be real with you, you need to be real with yourself first. And so I did do a lot of self-evaluation. So I'm very self-aware. And if there's things that are hiccups to me, I tend to do a lot of writing. I need to write this stuff out because I need to know what it is I need to be focused on, what areas that I'm not doing so well in, and what areas I'm super strong in. And from there, I will tell people, you need to prioritize how you're going to go about this, right? Because if you're working and you're a mom and you're a wife, and you want to do a business, and you need to know that there's no such thing as balance. So you need to make sure that you're actually just doing what's going to be the best and most intentional in that particular moment. And for me, this is how I work. There is times when I can show up as a mom, and there's times sometimes when I'm just not so great at it, just because I'm in the middle of doing another thing that's super important, that's around a goal that has to be met. That deadline has to be met. So I cannot, put on my mom hat right now all the time, or I can't put on my wife hat. And what I've learned, and I've learned this a lot from my business coaches, but as well as from my husband, because he is very like he is driven, and like you said, he is business. Like he knows what he's going after, what he wants. And he knows sometimes that is because that goal is there and it's got a deadline to it. I don't have time to give up off of it. Like I need to just hurry up and get to it and get it done. And so a lot of times we just have to prioritize as best we can, and know that there's no balance. And then I would tell people to elevate your surroundings, because when you're stepping into something new, you want to make sure that you're not around some of those same people that may put doubt in your dreams, may put doubt in the goals and things that you want to accomplish, right? And so that has been tremendous help for me, because now that I'm more around people that believe and that are goal oriented and focused on their business and elevation, I don't have time to really entertain conversations that are about some kind of way of putting negativity out into the things that I have coming, that I'm working on. So I elevated a lot of the people that I'm around. And I always tell people this: the people that you're connected to is you need to be very intentional about it. You have to be
Mhm.
so intentional about the people that you're going to be connected to. And that's across the board, guys. That's not just in your business life. That's not just in the friends and people that associate with. That's also in life, right? If you
Mhm.
want to desire to be married, you want to, like you said, have somebody that's going to be there, that's going to be an equal partner for you. So having intentional relationships is so key, so key. And then
Okay,
the
Yes.
wait.
next thing,
I want to,
go
can I
ahead.
interrupt you for just a second? Okay,
Yeah.
because I want to summarize. So if somebody's just jumping in with us. So the number one is that, okay, Shannon, help me on this because I know you write better notes than me. I'm thinking about number two. But the number one thing you said is to be in your purpose and to know yourself and kind of check your own roadmap.
Yeah, it was
Like,
Yes.
like the self-evaluation and write out the hiccups, right? So you're writing out what you want to do and then you're
right.
prioritizing it, right?
Yes.
I think it's
And then the
big.
number two is to elevate your surroundings and the people that you're with and connected with. Is
Is
that
that
right?
two
Right.
or three?
That's three.
Got you.
Oh,
So is
what
the
was number
first
two?
one,
The
number
first
two
one
is
is
write out
like,
the hiccups, right?
yes.
Got
Okay.
you. Okay, so tell us again. If we're going one, two, three, for those of us who love to take notes, what
Yep.
are the yeah,
So I
the
tell
steps?
people to self-aware, self-assess where you are. You need to
Yeah.
write out your priorities to see what, because there's no balance. So you need to know what your map is, what it's going to look like. And then three, elevate your surroundings. Make sure that
Yeah.
you have the right people, or that you're connected to the right people.
And I want to go a little bit deeper here too.
Mhm.
Christine, I see you moving though. Were you about to say something else before I start?
Oh, just that affirmation about no balance because we've talked
Yeah.
about it multiple times on the show because we love what Stacey Abrams says about the
Work
work
life
life balance.
Jenga.
She says it's work life Jenga. She says there's times you have to pull different priorities and there's sometimes it all falls down and you have to
Yeah.
rebuild it. She talks about that in her Lead from the Outside book.
Yeah.
And I just think about that when you said that. I was like, oh yeah, we believe in that here.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And I wanted to, so the first step, right? Like the self eval. I think that's big. And especially when I started talking about the podcast and talking about my own businesses, I said, "Oh Lord, if I'm messing up, I need you to tell me." And it was literally a prayer I have. Please tell me. And I hope that I'm humble enough to hear it when it's a whisper. Hey, you have a booger in your nose. there's a booger in your nose. I don't want to
Mhm.
be on stage and 2,000 people like, dang, why does she have something in her nose? Somebody should have told her, you know?
Right.
And so just with like the things that we need to work on, being self-aware is huge, you know? Even my community, Crystal and Cecile were amazing, you know, because they love me and they know the story and they know what we're working on. They were super excited about the keynote speech, right? I had to go back myself and I said, okay, I'm going to do the stuff that they said to do again. And I need to work on these things. You know what I mean? So next time it's even better. And I think that helps you jump leaps and bounds because you're not waiting for somebody. Well, why didn't they tell me? You should be looking in the mirror too. You know, you got to make sure you look
Sure.
presentable before you go out. Don't just be mad because somebody didn't tell you that your tag was out when you didn't check before you left the house, you know.
Hmm.
And again, that was one of my prayers that God show me those things. And then writing it down, like writing out the hiccups. I love how you say that because it definitely helps me too. And it was crazy when my mom passed away and I started writing all this stuff out, right? I said I need to go back to how I used to do in high school and college and write my appointments out. I was honor student. I had it down. I need to reorganize my time. Right. And this stuff, it was crazy, y'all. On this calendar I had, it was not organized. It was all over the place. And I said, just keep doing it until you get the system down. And now it's a lot better. And to prioritize it for that work life Jenga, like even with Valentine's Day last week, you know that if on a Tuesday, because I had waited, what, 2 years, 3 years to be off for Valentine's Day. And so in the workflow on a Tuesday, usually you're not off. Right. So now all those things that happen on Tuesday, maybe they happen on Thursday, maybe they happen a different way. And so if you're good on your timing and you're amazing at the time management, you might feel like you're behind, you know, but
Hmm.
knowing that you're right where you're supposed to be, everything's taken care of. You've already looked at the list, you prioritized it based on the dimensions that you want to live in your life. You can have peace in that moment. You could take the day off, relax, and it'll tomorrow we'll pick it back up and start running back up the hill, you know. But for right now, we've organized it based on where we are. So I love these steps so far. What are the other two?
So I will tell people the main thing that I hear a lot with women is that they're just afraid to start. So
Mm,
they're they're stuck at the start part. And so I tell people, take action. You have to take immediate action, as much action as you can in those moments, to just do something. Because if you've got that map down, you know, okay, I can at least come up with my name. I can come up with an outline for my book. Oh, I can come up for an outline for my show. What do I want to talk about? Like, you have to start taking the action. So many people want to stop and wait and pause and, think about it some more. It's not perfect. It's not. I live by this thing that says, I want completion, not perfection. And so there were times even in my podcast when I first started that the sound quality wasn't great, but it was completed when I said it was going to be done. And so we have to so much get out of our head a lot of times and just start and move. And the last one I'll tell you guys is to keep showing up. You have to continue to show up every single day. And so many people, and I don't want to say, so I say show up intentional more so than trying to always show up every single day, as in like, oh, I got all this stuff to do, because I'm big on being authentic to yourself. And for me, I take my Wednesdays off now for myself, but it's also for me to put the other priorities up there. I still have to run a household. My daughter needs different things, laundry, all of that. So Wednesdays is my time to take off, to breathe at home, and to really get my house together, and then come back and hit it on Thursday, Friday, or even into the weekend. So you got to keep showing
absolutely.
up, and you got to know that don't be so hard on yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself. And like I said, just show up and be authentically you. So work what's best for you. Don't try to always compare to what other people are doing and it's working for them. Work what's best for you. So
So good. Christine, I saw that you wanted to jump in. What did you have?
Oh, I wanted her to give a shout out to our listeners about what is your podcast? Because
oh,
people who listen to podcasts. So
Yeah.
we'll put it in the show
absolutely.
notes, but I also want our listeners to hear it.
So the podcast is called She's the Plug. And it's pretty much wherever you can get your podcast out. out right now, but it's called She's the Plug. And I connect women with resources, tools, and we have a little bit of mindset or just, and some spiritual development. We have a little bit of it all, just as from a woman's perspective, and just helping women connect them to, coaches, just mentors, things that they're going to need to help further their life wherever they are to elevate it.
Oh,
I
heck
love
yeah.
and I love what you said about, j afraid to start. It makes sense, and these things it's crazy because when we talk about cliche, right, it can sound so simple, "Oh, that's not really what you need to do." I bet you $1,000,000, okay, that if you try enough times and that doesn't work out, like, it will absolutely work out when you start putting incremental steps like Christine says, right? When you start showing up consistently and intentionally with your priorities, right? And then you taking care of yourself. Now you glowing from head to toe. The business is taken care
Right.
of and people want to work for the business, and now stuff starts falling together, And it reminds me of this book that we read in this network marketing company that I was part of called The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson, and he's talking about it's good, right?
Mm-hmm.
How if you start putting in action, and a lot of times people, oh, I want to lose weight. That was me, right? 2 years. I'm talking about losing weight, y'all. I paid for kickboxing for 3 years. I wasn't kickboxing every week, but I was paying for it for 3 years, right? And but still
Mm-hmm.
eating whatever I wanted to. And we know that diet is the majority of what you need to be disciplined in, right? And so his book was talking about how sometimes if you put in action and then you get the goal, you lose the weight, then we stop doing everything, right? We stop doing the consistent motions, we stop showing up, we stop prioritizing our stuff the right way, and then we slide back. And actually what the research showed was that we slide back even further. You gain even more weight.
Yep.
Now we're heavier than we were when we started because we weren't consistent. So I love these 5 keys, and I could tell you based on where we are, top 10% of the world, Amazon bestseller, and writing a second book, that what you're talking about absolutely works.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've seen it time and time again, but I've been around enough people that have
Yeah,
been super successful in what they do and how they're showing up in the world
yeah,
anyway. And we can easily talk about, oh, these are the top things sometimes that women are facing.
yeah.
They may not be all of them, but they are some ones that, that women face all the time.
Right. And I love what you said too about comparison is the thief of joy. That's a huge
Oh,
thing, right? And one thing that I learned when we were studying gender and stuff when I was in college is that men apply themselves more. Even when they know that they're underqualified, they will apply for a job, and a woman wants to make sure that she's checked every single box. And when I found that out, it was like go time. I said, "Oh, apply myself more when I might be underqualified." Got it. You know what I mean? And that's been doing it since, so yes.
Well, and I loved what you said about completion over perfection. Shannon and I live by that also in the work that we do. And we wouldn't be at what are we today, 104 episodes, and
Yes.
where we are if we'd have stuck with perfection. Like we aim for being really good at what we
right.
do. And the thing is, though, life happens. And so if we were to wait until we were absolutely perfect, we'd still be waiting.
We
And
wouldn't have started yet. Yeah.
right? And it's that yes and like go for it. Take action, get excited.
Yeah.
And we talk about on the show often our Monday manifesting group that we have, our group of women entrepreneurs that we check in with each other, we support each other, we are there for each other, and we are intentional about celebrating each other and helping each other when we struggle. And I think
Mhm.
that for sure, with the keys for winning, is surrounding
Mm.
yourself by people and being intentional about who you surround yourself by. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like my main thing that I feel like has shifted my life from this past 7 years. I always, like I said, I'm big on self-evaluation, self-assessing. And so what I did was, and what I do often is I always look back at, my Facebook memories and things like that. And I just look at my mindset and just look at, where I was. Some of the things that I'm doing today, I would have never done during that time. It was definitely a time for growth, and I had to like continue to be around these people and continue to learn and read and do all of those things to continue to build my skills to where now people see me now and I can talk in front of other people and freely, and not feel like, oh my goodness, I don't want to do this. I'm not, what qualifies me? Well, I know what I'm on purpose to do. So when you have that type of
Hello.
confidence, you don't need.
Right?
Yeah, and it's interesting because people keep talking about the confidence in my voice, right? And not to say that I'm not confident, but where the confidence comes from is yes, God, he what is he? He doesn't he qualifies the called, he doesn't call the qualified, right? So I
Yep.
think that everybody's gonna feel that way to a certain extent. Like, should I be the one? And yes, you should.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely should be. I always tell people, if you have a dream, that goal, whatever that thing was, that, oh, I need to start that business, or I want to start that business, whatever that thing was that you just happened to see in your head, maybe for a quick second or whatever it was, that was something that was sent to you because you were supposed to do it. And so what, and don't look at it just for the big picture, because right now he just needs you to take a step. You just got to take the step first. And maybe the step is, let me accept and make the decision that this is what I'm going to do, and then write out all the other stuff.
Yes. And that is literally how it's been, you know? And when we talk about occupational wellness and prioritizing stuff, when you walk that way, it can be overwhelming. It might be daunting and scary, you know, when you feel like you don't know the next step. And for me, if there's a place of fear or uncertainty or anger or whatever it might be, I usually associate that with an affirmation or a scripture, right? And what I think about is, He will be a light unto our feet. And one
Yes.
thing what I was thinking about one day when I was thinking about this verse is that, okay, if there's light on our feet, she hopped out. Maybe hopefully her camera come back.
Sorry.
Perfect. Perfect. Can you see us? Can you hear us okay?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Um, what I was thinking about is, if you need a lamp on your feet, that means wherever you are is dark, right? Because you
Mm.
would need a lamp if it was bright. And it's also just a light on your feet and not the whole path. But you
Okay.
can't step the whole path at a time anyways. So pay attention to your feet and where you are, and I'm gonna show you where you are, and I got the rest of it. And it's that trust part, you know, and that's been huge in occupational wellness, especially leaving two salary jobs. Like, you sure, Lord? Historically, Black women have not been making this much money. You know, people put up with a lot to stay in positions, but instead, I feel like we're supposed to be helping the women and the generations glow from head to toe and trade the death rate for dimensional wellness and helping them with things like this. You know, it might seem little, but that's huge. And that's worth stepping out on faith to see, let's try, let's show up, and let's see where it goes.
Yeah, I agree. Even with me working previously, I shared with you guys before that, I'm a big reader too. And so I was reading The Six Figure Woman, and just listening to some of these secrets and things like that. And I was just like,
That's one of my favorite books.
I just, it, the information's out there, right? The facts, the statistics on Black women and business, I mean, and stepping into careers and things like that, how we're paid lower a lot of times. These things are out there, but it was just different because I read it for myself, and I read it because I wanted to better myself. Like, I wanted to know this information and how I can apply it in my life. And that book, I tell women that are around me that are still working, that's still, out here, doing two things. They're building their dreams on the side, and they're still, having a killer career. I'm like, don't don't back down. Do not back down. Go in there in the fullness of you, because one of the things I can't stand to hear is that that we can be so aggressive. Stop using that term for us. That's not it. We can be passionate, we can be serious, but you don't have to use
Audacious.
the word aggressive.
Assertive. We can be
Right.
amazing and awesome, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
But
Well,
no,
and
and
thanks for naming that, because it is an
yes.
obstacle that sometimes women face and sometimes fear, like that they're going to be perceived a certain way, or they're going to be seen a certain way, or that. And I think that's one of the things that holds us back often, is like, oh, um, I don't, the one I get sometimes is about ego. And I'm not a person that really has a big ego, but I do a lot of things that put me out in front of the public. And then sometimes people are like, "Oh, that's ego." And it's like, No, I'm very grounded in where I'm coming from. But if I wasn't, when I first started, it could take me off my center or off my kilter because I didn't want to be perceived that way or I didn't want to be seen that way. And it's like, yeah, and I know myself well enough to know and that I'm in my purpose. And then that's not ego driven. And
Mm,
so just that check-in, like you were talking about the very
Mhm.
beginning, about the check-in and also having people that I check in with myself, but I have people I check in with, like, hey, how was this? How was that? Just making sure because I think often when we do succeed, when people see us out there and doing things, well, Shannon, you brought it up today with one of our authors. One of our authors was given a feedback of, oh, people don't really take you seriously until you have 3 books.
What?
And we
It
were
was
laughing. We're like,
craziness. What?
right?
three
What?
I said it sounds like somebody who hadn't written a book. And again,
Right?
not that we talk about like talking about people. I hear you on the negativity and the things that we speak over ourselves. But no, again, what you do for hey, the amazing piece of toast can be a win. And if I did it, guess what? I did it and I'm gonna talk about it. But I hear what you're saying, Christine, is and we have time. That's why we have a podcast, right? Let's go into it. Usually we
Right.
try to be concise, right? But that's not what we're here for.
Exactly.
So what you said, Takia, about secrets to six-figure women, right? And I brought this book up a lot. If we go back to the show notes, it's one of the top recommended books, okay? Because I genuinely believe we got a couple of groups. We have Manifestation Mondays and we have Women Connected in Wisdom. And so these are definitely six-figure groups. We're not there right now, but based on what the book said and our habits, it's a no-brainer. So it's just about continuing to show up, to be honest. And we can come back to this when we get to that $1 million business, Christine, and see how long it takes us. But I definitely think that we have what we need to be healthy. Um, but it's about being able to maintain wellness, right? If women have children and children cost a certain amount, we're saying that children cost what, $250,000 a piece was the estimate that I heard, right? And over a lifetime. So $250,000 a piece. Plus, women are supposed to have beauty labor, right? Shout out to Laurel Ann Stark for breaking that down on our conference last year in October. It's an extra 2.5 hours a day. And that might be 250,000 over a lifetime too. What was that? I think it is that estimate too, because of how much we spend on makeup, on waxing and eyebrows and nails and hair. Like it could keep adding up, right? That's not monopoly money. That's $500,000 coming out of a bank account that was paid 60% less. That was paid, excuse me, 40% less. So the math is not adding up. So yes, if I'm a teacher, because again, in our book, we talk about how, or Carol, Carolyn and Renee talks about the two options that, or the three options that most women had in her mother's generation. And that was to be a wife and a mom, to be a school teacher, and to be a nurse.
Mhm.
So if I'm a teacher and we're talking about how they get underpaid and I have a side gig, hopefully that adds up to the living expenses. That's not me being arrogant. That's me trying to make sure that my child has clothes and medicine or whatever they need. Or life expenses and somebody passes away, we got to fly here or Georgia Power or whatever we have to do. So there's that part that I think about to what you said. And then Christine, the second part that I think about is what was I going to say? What was the last thing that you said, Christine?
Well, I'm not sure, but I want to interject something real quick
Yes.
because I want to give you an update with inflation. They are
Okay.
now saying that it costs $310,605 or about $17,000 a year to raise a child to 18. And
Right.
that's from the new Brookings Institute analysis of data from the US Agricultural Department.
And we round up. So you're saying $311,000.
Yep, yep.
Okay.
That's a big jump from the like that's huge.
That's a big
Um,
jump. And what I was gonna say for the second point is about you being,
like if you get
egotistical,
knocked off
right?
your
Talking
purpose or if
but
somebody says something, yeah.
it's just about the egotistical part because as a
Okay.
business owner, And as an entrepreneur, I have to talk about my business. If we do not talk about our business, they disappear. And so it's the difference of need in the roles, right? If I'm a kitchen
Right.
manager, you're going to come to Papado. People love Papado. They have their whole system set up, they have their teams and systems. Me connecting to Wisdom Press, depending on how many episodes of the podcast you listen to, you may or may not know what I'm talking about. And so it is my job to talk about the things that I'm talking about. And that doesn't mean that I'm egotistical. That might be the way that somebody else feels about it, but that's a skill that you need to have. And I think with women,
Absolutely.
we get there, but I think I would love to talk about that more in the community. And that's what we're building. But that's the reality of what we have to do to maintain.
I,
That's it.
I love, I love what you just said there, Shannon, because you have to talk about your business. You have to talk
Yeah.
about what you do. And, it's so amazing that's even an issue for us, because we talk about this other stuff that we have to use. We talk about the cell phones that we have, the insurance, like what the regular things that we have in our life. So why is it such a crime sometimes to talk about what we do? And one of the revelations that I got recently in this past year or two
Yes.
was, I remember sitting down watching TV and I seen this commercial, guys, like I don't even know how many times in a matter of 8 minutes. I was so annoyed by it. I was like, oh my gosh, here's this commercial again. Like, what in the world? And in that moment, I heard from God. He told me, he was like, I need you to pay attention to what you just seen, though. They're not afraid to talk about what they have. And in the same sense that you just seen them and got aggravated from this commercial, you didn't change the channel. You still continued to watch what you were trying to watch. You did. I mean, I might have muted it, but it was still playing. It was still going, processing in my subconscious, right? So that's
And
what
you
I
still think
took.
about it.
Yes, and you still think about it. So what I did was I took that, whatever he told me in that moment, and I took that to heart, and I decided to show up like that in my business. And so I don't care if someone gets annoyed by it and decides to mute me or turn the channel from me. The thing is, you still heard from me. You still had been hearing from me. And so that's how we have to show up in with our brands, with the things that we're building, is that we have to show up like that. And just, I don't want to say bombard, but really get behind what you're doing and know, live and breathe it. Really know that this is what I'm purposed to do. So I don't have a problem with talking about it, and I can talk about it all day if you like.
Yeah.
But
And
this is
be
what we're gonna do.
consistent. Yeah. Because if I show up to Papado again, that was a 12-hour shift. So I'm talking to you for 12 hours. What were you going to say, Christine?
Well, speaking about talking about it, will you tell people about your books?
Oh yes. So I actually have a children's book out. It's called I Like to Dance. I did that around my daughter. She was 2, so it's a children's book. And then I have a personal development book. That's an ebook. It's free. And I don't know if we put that back on my website yet, but it'll be on my website, takeyanicole.com. And then I actually have something else pending right now. So I'm super excited. I mean, like I said, anytime you get a chance to talk about your stuff, you should be able to talk about it. I'm in purpose. That's all that matters.
Right. Right. No, I love that. So each week, thank you so much for this, Christine. We talk about a wisdom in action that's based on the dimension that we're talking about, right? So this is occupational wellness. For me, what's been coming up, I have a couple. Actually, I have one twice. So I guess that's it, right? Hashtag completion over perfection. That's what I've been thinking about this week. I've been feeling like a finisher, like let's knock it out, whether it's colored Lord, coloring pages from Cecile's coloring book that I got. I've been
Right?
doing that
The
this week.
mandalas.
The
Yeah.
mandalas are beautiful. Or if it's stuff for Women Connected or stuff for the business. I've just been like finishing stuff. So that's my wisdom in action. What's yours?
Mine. I'm gonna say, okay, I like self-assess. Hashtag self-assess. Really
Mm.
figure out where you are, what your purpose to do, and make an action plan for it.
Ooh, I love that. We've been talking about systems. So I think mine's going to be hashtag check your roadmap,
Ooh.
Mm.
right? because I
I
think
love that.
systems are a part of our roadmap. So they're the little symbols along that roadmap, right?
Right? Really. And then sometimes you're putting down, it's like band, they would put down the lines on the football field. Sometimes you're drawing the system as you're going, especially as business owners before the team gets there. But I love that. And I love what I do right now. Like Takia was talking about just writing it down. When I look at my vision boards, it looked like a lot. And it was like four different things on the corner of this poster board. And I'm doing all of that now with Connected and Wisdom Press and Women Connected in Wisdom. And even the question I asked myself, especially talking about occupational wellness, is what would you do for free? And I said, talk to the women, talk to the students. And not only am I able to do that, but I'm getting paid to do that now. So
Mhm.
don't be afraid to ask for what you want and a try and a show up. And if you need some connection, get connected to our expert Takia on her website and Christine and Women Connected in Wisdom.
Absolutely.
And we
Yeah.
will share all your info in our show notes with our listeners. So if you're driving and listening to this or
Yeah.
listening while you're running, know that you can go to our website, Women
Mhm.
Connected in Wisdom, get the links, get connected, get that free ebook. And
Yeah.
Takia, thanks so much for being here and sharing your keys for winning with us. And we're so delighted to be connected with you.
Thank you
Yes.
guys for having me. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I love talking about this kind of stuff.
Thank you so much. Yes, absolutely. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much.
Oh, that
Oh,
was delightful.
I don't know why I thought the keys would be difficult. I know we went a lot, but I'm always like, what if there's something that's a stumper? But no, it was pretty good.
Right? When she was going down her keys for winning, I was like, "Oh, check. We got
Yeah.
it. Okay,
Yeah.
check. We got it."
Yeah.
And but I love that, right? Because it doesn't have to be brand new info to remind
Mhm.
us, to also to have us be intentional and be in purpose.
Yeah.
It's nice. And different women, different people can say it different ways, and
Right.
sometimes it lands different for different people. So that
Definitely.
was delightful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was. So I'm excited, and we have been doing a lot of winning. We have been intentional. We have been writing our stuff down. We have prioritized our actions, and even before that, we definitely check the posture of our hearts. You
Right.
make sure that you're not coming from the right place. I make sure I'm coming from the right place and not being manipulative or just thinking about the money because we got to make money. But what do we want to do? What do we want it to look
Right.
like? And then when we do that, it's beautiful to watch it fall together.
Right? What's the purpose and the intention?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, speaking about brands, let's
Yes.
give some shout out of thanks to our show sponsor, Shalo Glow. And what you
Yes.
got going on over there?
Oh my goodness. So much. Again, been living my dream life. This Friday, we're actually going back. We're invited back to Le Meridian. So if you're around the perimeter, by perimeter, not by, but you want to swing by, come see me on Friday from 5 to 8:30. We had a great time. We had a live violinist last time, and there were little hors d'oeuvres and finger food for the party they were having. But everybody was really interested in the Shalo Glow and our Women Connected in Wisdom. So we'll be back there, and I'll be going out to speak about taking care of yourself, physical wellness, and the 8 dimensions of wellness at Hiram High School, going back to see the Hornets, my school that I graduated from. So those are the next two places we're going.
I love it. That's so
Thank you.
exciting.
I'm so
Well, I'm thinking
excited.
about March coming up too. We
Yes.
are looking at a potential book signing in Columbia, South Carolina. We
Yes.
also, I will be co leading with my dear friend and colleague, Marla Durden. We are leading a Secrets of Interplay. So, if you're interested in that, you hear us talk about interplay often on the show, that feel free to reach out and check it out. And as always, you can reach Shannon and I for some private coaching or consultation. We are available, and we'd love for you to connect with us on our community at
Yeah.
womenconnectedinwisdom.com. So,
Yes.
yeah, we have a lot of fun stuff coming.
Yes, yes. And again, thank you for always listening, supporting the podcast, and for being here today for episode 104. We'll be back live at 5 next week. In the meantime, be well, be wise, be whole. We'll see you soon.
See you soon.